to the Pat Mayo Experience Week 15 recap. Look ahead to Week 16. If you're looking for the full waiver wire pickups, there ain't none. Because where it is Week 16, I don't do Week 17, so you can just use the rankings, which come out on Tuesday, to act as any sort of waiver wire pickup. Plus, you get the extra day, no need to update, anything like that. Just be aware of who's hurt. Antonio Brown, Rex Burkhead. And, I mean, it's not really Antonio Brown's fault that he's injured. It is Tim Anderson.
Tim Anderson.
That is not my name.
Fault. Your fault.
It is not my fault.
It is your fault.
I take no responsibility.
You never
the
take...
Patriots players. Yeah.
Now, see, I see what you did here. It was like a big long game because you won your free money parlay this week.
That was fantastic. In fact, and I even gave out a free parlay to the people on Saturday, which also hit.
All right, so what you did was, earlier in the week, you proclaimed that Antonio Brown would finish his career as the second best receiver of all time, then picked against the Steelers in your free money parlay, and that curse from 6 days before the game knocked him out of this game so you could win. Genius.
Well, I'm not playing that type of black magic chess.
It kind of seems like you are.
No, I am not. But I didn't even get the Super Lock Patriots. It was a push. I've now pushed for the second time this year. It's annoying.
Yeah, well,
Lots of pushes.
Well, we're going to be doing the Thursday show, but I have a 4-game lead on you this week after we were tied. So you really need to get this Monday Nighter correct.
I do, but like there were 3 pushes this week that all could have gone my way. So it's annoying.
I mean, if there were 3 pushes that could have gone your way, there was also 3 pushes that could have gone against you.
Yes, true, but it's just aggravating.
There was only 2 pushes, by the way. What was the other one? There was Oakland, there was Tennessee, and there was... Oh, yeah, and the
Oakland,
Patriots.
San Francisco, and New England.
That's right. I totally spaced. For some reason, I thought that New England had covered that game. They didn't, did they?
No, they did not.
On the actual betting line, the Titans actually did the best thing they could have ever done for me. They lost the game. I hate the Titans, so that works out. As of kickoff, it was plus 2.5, so they actually covered the spread. And where they lost, the Jags are probably going to win the division. I'll win that bet, and my Jacksonville versus Tennessee win total bet. I can now win with you.
Fantastic. I mean, I suppose that there's still a reasonable chance that bet comes down to Week 17 so I can get a push on it, but it is what it is.
Well, if the Jags win next week, it's over.
Correct, but then if the Jags lose next week, then the Titans will play them heads up for the division, which would mean that might be the Sunday night game, which you better hope for.
Well, I think the Packers. Boy, you've been playing around with the playoff machine.
The Lions have a lot. That game can be a win and in for the Lions in a lot of circumstances.
Really?
Yes.
Are the Packers done?
Nope, they're not done because various teams can get to 9-7, and so can the Packers. So the Packers can win it.
How outrageous would it have to be for the Packers to make the playoffs right now?
I mean, relatively outrageous, but let me see here. We make one change here on the number. Like several things have to go Green Bay's way. Several things. Like you have to get Dallas to 9 wins, Seattle to 9 wins, Detroit to 9 wins, and like maybe Atlanta to 9 wins for them to all cancel each other out.
Well, they hold no tiebreakers over Atlanta or Carolina. They would over Dallas and Seattle?
Right, but head-to-head no longer counts once you get to a 3- or 4-way tiebreak.
Okay, so they would need like a massive 5-way, 9-7.
Yeah, I mean, the Cowboys, the Lions, all have chances to get in. But, I mean, tonight's game is pivotal for that. If Tampa could pull off the upset, then that would really shake things up.
All right, so what's it looking like right now? So the Vikings are in for sure. The Eagles are in for sure. The Rams have not technically clinched yet, which is weird.
No, they haven't, because they could lose out, and if they lose out, they could not win on some tiebreaks.
All right, but they're probably in.
Yes, of course, in the AFC, we know that Patriots, Steelers, and Jags are all making it, but any of those 3 teams could be in any of the top 3 spots because if the Patriots or Steelers drop a game, they can't win tiebreaks against Jacksonville. Jacksonville owns all those tiebreaks, so they jump into first place with a loss.
Really?
Yeah, so if New England and Pittsburgh are tied at 11-3, Jacksonville at 10-4, the Jags win this week, and either Pittsburgh or New England loses, the Jags will jump either of them.
Well, who do the Steelers have left? They have the Browns, I'm sure.
They're at the Texans on Christmas Day.
Okay.
And then they're hosting Cleveland. So one should think they should take care of business, but it's the Steelers, and they like to not show up.
And Saxonville has the 49ers and Titans, 2 away games.
They're at the 49ers, at the Titans, and New England has a tough-ish game this week, hosting the Bills, and then they play the Jets also at home next week, week after.
So what's the AFC wildcard picture looking like now? What is it like? Tennessee still holds the driver's seat, right?
Tennessee is in good shape, yes, because of various tie breaks. However, they play the Rams and the Jaguars in the last two games. They'll probably be dogs in both, so one should assume they're in some trouble.
So they're 8-6. The Chiefs are 8-6, but the Chiefs now have the division. And correct. Are the Raiders done at 6-8? They're not, are they?
They're not. They could win out, and a million things could go right for them to win 8-8 tie breaks.
Okay, so who are the two most likely teams to be the AFC wildcard right now? Tennessee and Buffalo?
No, because Buffalo has the Patriots on their schedule. If the Bills win their last two, they're in. They need no help. But they're probably going to lose this week at Foxborough. So I would say the two likeliest are Baltimore and I think it's either going to be Baltimore and the Baltimore and the Chargers. Actually, I think are the two likeliest because the Chargers have two pretty easy games left.
Who do the Chargers have left? Oakland and who?
And the Jets this week.
So the Jets, then Oakland in Week 17?
Yeah, I think if we're playing it out reasonably, I think that it'll be the Chargers and the Ravens.
And that's assuming Buffalo loses to the Patriots this week.
Correct.
And then who do they play Week 17? The Dolphins again?
Yes, they do.
Oh wow, they really had a backloaded schedule there.
They most certainly did. Yeah, it's a this year more than most years. There's a lot of various permutations and combinations that can go the wrong way. I mean, there's a couple of games this week with incredibly high playoff leverage. Like Seattle-Dallas has got huge leverage.
Are we even convinced that either one of those teams is going to make the playoffs? Because I'm not.
I think Seattle is in okay shape because I think Atlanta will drop one of their last two against one of their last three possibly against either the Bucs, Saints, or Panthers.
Probably not against the Bucs.
No, probably not against the Bucs. I wouldn't think so.
No, I mean they're favored by what, 6 to win this game?
Yes, 6.5. I think the number is moved.
So if it was to conclude right now, who's in the NFC playoffs?
If it was to conclude today, I believe that the Panthers and because the Falcons haven't played yet, I suspect it would be Detroit. But once the Falcons win tonight, the Falcons will jump right back in.
So the Falcons would be the 5 and the Panthers would be the 6 right now?
I think it's Panthers 5, Falcons 6, because the Panthers still hold the current tiebreak since they beat them head-to-head once.
Okay, so when you look through and do like the playoff scenarios for the NFC, who's coming out most likely, most of the time, as the 5 and 6?
I'm just finishing that now, the simulation. The most likely outcome for that is I have Lions and Panthers at 5, Lions at 6 the most often.
Panthers at 5, Lions at 6, really?
Yeah, Lions at 10 and 6. They win that tiebreak. Oh, because I have Seattle losing twice. I have Seattle losing at Dallas next week with Zeke back.
Well, I mean, after the way that Todd Gurley just ran all over them, you'd have to think that Zeke's in a pretty good spot here.
I do, and even at 10 and 6, Dallas doesn't get in. They lose the tiebreak to the Lions. Yeah, I think if we were to play it out as the most likely outcome in every game, you've got Lions, Panthers, Chargers, Ravens as your 4 wild cards.
Wow. I thought the Chargers were basically done when they lost to Kansas City. What a nice call on that game, by the way.
Well, I don't want to celebrate too much because I felt bad to see that happen. But
you felt bad for poor Jeff?
I did. But listen, the Chiefs have an explosive offense, and they can beat anybody in the playoffs. It should shock nobody. Since every team in the AFC is so profoundly flawed in one way or the other, the Chiefs could beat anybody and make the Super Bowl. I don't know if it's going to happen, but
I mean, they could still miss the playoffs at this point too.
They could still miss the playoffs, but they have the Dolphins and Broncos left. I think they're in pretty good shape.
You would have said that about the middle part of their schedule too. Then they started dropping games to everybody.
That's true. I think we're moving quickly towards a world where we have to watch a Chiefs-Ravens playoff game.
Oh no, that sounds awful.
Yeah,
I watched an awful lot of that Ravens-Browns game yesterday, and it was just pathetic.
Well, I mean, Baltimore's problem is that their offense is not fun to watch, but their defense is still very vicious.
Yeah, I mean, it looked good against Kaiser, but I don't know how good their defense is going to be against a high-octane offense that can really pass. I mean, the Browns can't pass.
No. And we saw that 2 weeks ago when they played the Steelers. They couldn't stop the Steelers.
No, and without Jimmy Smith, like, everyone just gets, like, bumped up and bumped down. That, I don't know, now you have Carr trying to lock down number ones. That's not going to work. But I guess, how long do you think Antonio Brown's going to be out for? Do you think he'll be back by the playoffs?
Yes, I do, because I still think that the Steelers are going to have the wild card weekend off and that he'll be out there and ready to roll for the divisional round.
They need that big time now, though.
There is no team that needs the bye more desperately than the Steelers.
Because I was reading, it was what's Pro Football Doc, that guy on Twitter?
Oh, yeah, okay.
He said the way that Antonio Brown, like, tore his calf was a better way for him to come back quicker than, like, being at a partial tear, which I don't understand whatsoever, but that's what he's saying, so that's good news.
Well, yeah, it would be a shame to not have Antonio Brown in the playoffs. I agree completely.
Well, it just seems like every year the Steelers lose either Brown or Bell for the playoffs. Well, it's usually Bell.
It's for those of us who deeply do not want to see New England make the Super Bowl. We'd like to see the strongest possible teams in the AFC playoffs knock them off. And not having Brown is well, you think it'd be devastating. We didn't have Brown most of yesterday, and if it wasn't for a dumb rule, they would have beaten the Patriots.
All right, so did you think it was a catch?
I mean, in the term of what a catch is in our minds, of course it was a catch. According to the rules, no. The rule is, but it's a bad rule. That's the point.
So basically what the NFL should do is whatever rule that they have in place right now for what is a catch and what is not a catch, it seems like people would just be happier if they completely flipped the rule.
Well, if they completely flipped it, I mean, you'd be allowed to drop the ball.
Exactly. So whatever they're really breaking this down to, that's not a catch. If we just said, hey, it is a catch, I think everyone would be okay with that.
Seems to me if you have possession and take 2 steps, it's a catch, regardless of whether you lose it as you go to the ground. If you have possession and 2 steps, it's a catch. That, to me, seems like a far more reasonable rule.
And do you think we got to fix this touchback rule? Because it doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
It's been the rule since the beginning of football.
I understand that, but doesn't it seem like this season, this rule has come into play like 100 times more often than we've ever heard of it before?
Well, and it certainly came into play with a certain team when it wasn't even a good call.
I mean, it happened to Todd Gurley the first time against the Seahawks.
Okay, well then what should the rule be? If you fumble out of the back of the end zone, what should happen?
I don't know. But it seems odd that the other team is given the ball. They never recovered the ball.
Okay, but then where do you... So you give the ball back to the fumbling team where?
The 20? Where the person fumbled?
Well, you can't if you give it to them from where they fumbled, then there's no penalty for fumbling at the goal line.
And I suppose that's true. I don't know. It just seems stupid.
If you want to say moving back to the 20, okay, I'd be okay because that would be like a touchback. But you keep the ball, that's reasonable.
Yeah, so I don't think you would move back to your own 20. You'd move back to their 20.
Yeah. So Derek Carr last night would be then on the Cowboys' 20-yard line after his fumble.
Yes.
That seems okay. That seems like a reasonable thing. I mean, the rule has been like that for forever, so I'm not terribly torn up about it. I'm more upset about the catch rule because it comes into contact every single game. And we saw on Saturday night. In any reasonable world, the touchdown that they didn't give Hunt in the end zone should be a touchdown. He had possession of the ball. You know, it all further compounds my theory that instant replay is ruining sports, and particularly it's ruining football.
I just wanted. I'm not with you on that because I do think the instant replay.
What happened yesterday is good for football.
They just need to make it quicker. And listen, it was good for football because now everyone's all fired up about it.
People would have been more fired up for that Steelers win.
Would they?
Yes, of course they would have. That was an amazing 2-play, 76-yard drive or whatever for a touchdown. It was unbelievable. Yeah,
but more people are now going to talk about it because they feel like someone got screwed.
Well, what people are not going to talk about is, he's gotten off the hook, is that the Steelers linebacker dropped the game-winning interception 30 seconds earlier.
Or how when they tried to do when they did the fake spike and he threw the pick, just how they were not fooling the Patriots whatsoever.
Yeah, because you think, oh, I've got to run a play here. I don't want to spike. You just spike it and kick a field goal and go to overtime. You're at home in the rain. You're favored to win. Just take it to OT.
But the big thing is, like, you can catch teams off guard with some of the stuff. Like, the Rams are always catching people off guard with, like, fake punts, although they seem to do it all the time. But, like, no one's catching the Patriots off guard. They prepared for this. They were clearly prepared for the fake spike play.
Yeah, you might have caught them off guard immediately after the long play because they would have been dazed and sort of punch drunk about it. But you certainly can't do it after the play before. No, of course not.
Yeah, just seems strange. Hey, Kenyon Drake did not have an absolute dud of a game, so congratulations.
Thank you. I mean, I did predict Hunt to have 2 touchdowns.
You
I
did.
got that going for him.
Well, this reminded me of 2 weeks ago when stuff started going right for you, and then poor John B. Anderson died because of the Ander curse this week, and you killed Antonio Brown and used all of its strength to get Antonio Brown.
He's going to miss 2 games, and I mean, it's unfortunate for those of you in the fantasy finals, but
might miss 2 games. He's going to miss at least 2 games.
Yeah, he'll miss at least 2 games, and I think he will do his absolute utmost to come back in 4 weeks for the playoffs. So I'm not responsible for this.
I think you are. Twitter would make it seem like you are responsible for it.
What else did I think was important? The Eagles' comeback was very important yesterday. Taught us a lot about that team. Anyone who was doubting Nick Foles and the Eagles can at least put aside some of their doubts.
Well, I mean, I found it kind of crazy that when Carson Wentz went down, that their defense got so bad all of a sudden.
Yes, that is. I mean, if you want to take shots at Philadelphia for yesterday's performance, it's the defense that you have to sort of harangue, not the offense. The offense played just fine, and they're going to be just fine.
See, I thought they would lean more on the run than they had in the past few games. You get Foles in there, but they just aired it out the entire time.
Yeah, I mean, they got down early quickly, so maybe that's part of the reason. But I mean, there's 2 weeks left. One should think that the Eagles should just run all over Oakland on Monday night.
Well, I mean, even Alfred Morris played all right in the Sunday nighter, but that game was just a disaster, though.
Yeah, I mean,
that was not. As someone who watched most of the Washington and Arizona game to sweat out my super lock, the Oakland and Dallas game was not good.
No, but it had moments like Gene Steratore using a folded up piece of paper to decide first down.
That's not good, though. That's not.
No, if that's not in the rules, and I don't think it is, he should probably be suspended for a game.
Why?
Because you can't do that.
No. Do what you want.
That's asinine.
No, you do what you want.
That's Bush League from a referee.
Listen, these refs aren't rich. You can't just go suspending them all over the place. They need the money.
And this is not the first time he's screwed a game this season.
Oh, really? Do you think that he's on? Well, he can't be suspended because he's probably on the take from the league just to get the Jets all the time, isn't he?
Yes. I mean, no, he's obviously not on the take. He's obviously just not good at his job.
Did you see there was a stretch? I thought the Jets were going to end up getting their onside kick, but there was 3 onside kicks back to back to back in the span of 3 minutes yesterday. And the Packers got theirs. Who was the other one that got?
Then Miami got theirs.
And then immediately threw an interception, which was to no one, which was hilarious. There were some bad Cutler passes in that game.
There were a lot of bad Cutler passes.
Did you watch much of that game?
A lot of it, yes, I did. And unfortunately, as soon as you start buying in on Jay Cutler, he'll rip your heart out, and he did it again.
So the Dolphins are the classic team right now, is when you really think they're going to get destroyed, they probably win. If you think they're going to be competitive, they're going to get destroyed.
Well, I feel like the Jets are like that, too.
No, the Jets just do the opposite of whatever you think they're going to do every week. Again, they covered.
Oh, I think they're going to get crushed by the Chargers.
Oh, so that means they'll probably cover.
I doubt it.
What do you think? Is it in New York or is it in L.A.?
It's in New York. It doesn't matter. The Chargers are going to win big.
Oh, so you're just trying
Are you trying
to curse the poor Chargers out of the playoffs?
No, but yet another week where the Jets are playing a team at the end of the year who have had extra time off than them. Last week, the Saints had 11 days off.
God.
Now the Chargers. I'm just saying, I'm glad we're not competitive because it's just further proof that Park Avenue hates the Jets.
See, it's funny because you say things like, I'm not going to complain about it, but we're not in it, but then you just end up complaining about it anyway.
Well, I'm just highlighting it to people. People think I'm delusional for saying the Jets don't get any breaks. I'm just pointing out all the different ways in which the league put poison pills in the Jets' schedule to make sure they didn't make the playoffs.
This is almost as ludicrous as the NHL referees give the Montreal Canadiens power plays at the end of periods to break them up.
That does happen.
No, it doesn't, Tim. It happens the same to every single team.
It's no. It happens to Montreal more than anybody else. I'm sure of it.
Well, how is it that you just seem to root? All your favorite teams are like the team in every sport that they just get screwed all the time. How is that possible?
I don't know. It's deeply irritating. Notre Dame doesn't get any breaks. The Jets don't get any breaks. No one gets any breaks.
You get all the breaks.
No, they don't. Notre Dame was being fouled by Indiana on Saturday, and no calls were being made.
No, I mean you personally. You get all the breaks.
I do not get all the breaks, although yesterday worked out well for me. Much as I hate the Patriots, I needed them to win, and they did. And I don't like the Cowboys, and they won. So
if you're a Bills fan, who do you want to see in the first round if you get the 6th seed?
if I were the Bills, I think I would prefer to play Jacksonville.
Not Kansas City. I guess Kansas City would have to go
Although,
win.
to be fair, if Buffalo pulls off the upset of New England this week, they'll probably play New England in the first round.
Well, they should probably try to lose then.
Then they almost certainly can't make the playoffs.
Well, that's a horrible catch-22 then.
So, like, I think, yeah, because at that point the Jags and Steelers would both jump them. If the Bills make the playoffs, I think the likeliest outcome is the Bills played New England in the first round.
And that would be bad for Buffalo.
Well, would it? They would have just beaten them 2 weeks previous.
Yeah, I mean, what's the Bills' record against the Patriots in the Brady era? Like 1-25?
It can't be very good, no.
I think they beat them once.
Yeah, I remember them winning at Orchard Park once off the top of my head, and I'd have to strain my brain to think of other times where it happened.
I think the last time they had beaten them before that was the Drew Bledsoe Week 1 game when they beat them like 34-0, and then they lost to them in Week 17, 34-0.
31-0.
31-0. Sorry.
Yeah.
But anyway, they booked into the season like that. I think that was the last time. I think they've beaten Brady once, is basically what I'm getting at.
Yeah, I could effort this, but I'm sure it's been more than that, but
I actually don't think it has been. It was like that long streak that the Chargers had over the Raiders. Like, right before LT retired, they beat them like 16 times in a row or something.
Yes.
So, that's kind of
cool. When was the last time? Buffalo. Buffalo beat them in 2014 and beat them in two. Well, yeah, that's exactly it. They've beaten the Brady twice, from as far as I can see, in the Brady era.
Twice or once? Because that one is against Bledsoe.
Three times. So they beat them in 2011 at Orchard Park, and they beat them in 2014 on the last game of the season, 17-9.
Are we even sure Brady played in that game?
He went 8 for 16, so he played some in that game.
So he played like the first quarter and then hit the bench.
That's what it looks like.
I don't even know if I would really count that as like a really strong case for the Bills here.
I'm giving it to the Bills. I'm giving them that game.
You're giving them the benefit of the doubt here?
We give them that game. But yeah, so Buffalo, the way it works with Baltimore, it would be the 5 seed in that spot. So yeah, Buffalo basically needs to beat the Patriots to have a date with them in 2 weeks. But knowing the Bills, they'll win this week, and then the Dolphins will beat them next week.
Yeah, that would be. I mean, whatever meltdown could happen in the worst possible way is what is going to happen to the Bills.
One feels that way, doesn't it? Yeah.
It does. It's weird because when I look at the AFC playoff picture, I actually think Buffalo could beat Jacksonville, but I also know that Pittsburgh, Baltimore, and New England don't want to play Jacksonville. It's really bizarre.
Well, in part because of, listen, you never want to play your divisional opponent in the playoffs because they played you twice already, and it's just tough, right?
I would think that the Patriots would want to play the Bills. I'm not going to lie to you.
You would think so, but if the Bills beat them in 2 weeks, I mean, that they wouldn't want to because they'd have to play in Wild Card Weekend, and that would be annoying for them. But yes, I mean, I don't think New England would be all that nervous about playing Buffalo, but as a rule, I think you don't want to play a divisional opponent again. They have advantages on you. Well, I look at the AFC playoffs. I sort of hinted before. I think my dark horse would be the Chiefs, actually. I think the Chiefs can beat anybody and have already gone to Foxborough this year and knocked them out. Pittsburgh does present challenges for them, but that would be that's a stumbling block. But the Chiefs are a darn good offense, and when they're rolling, their offense is just about unstoppable.
The biggest problem that they're going to have against Pittsburgh is that they never beat Pittsburgh.
That's what I mean. That's the great stumbling block. The Chiefs can never beat the Steelers, but the Steelers can never beat the Patriots. And but the Patriots have historically struggled with Baltimore. And of course, Jacksonville is never in the playoffs, so we who knows with them.
And Jacksonville has already pumped Pittsburgh once this year and pumped Baltimore. Like they're just there's such bad matchups for those two teams. And I think they would be a horrible matchup for New England. Like the big thing the reason why I think Buffalo could beat Jacksonville is because the one big thing that Jacksonville does well is get to the quarterback, but that doesn't really matter against the Bills. Like
not at all.
Like they can just hand the ball to Shady 30 times and hope that works. And that could be enough to work. With the Patriots, like if you're getting to Brady or moving Ben off his spot every single time, like they're kind of useless.
No, absolutely. That's absolutely correct. Jacksonville presents challenges for certain teams. Like I think the Patriots would be unhappy to play Jacksonville. That would be a tough game. But I think that someone like the Chiefs, for example, would be delighted to draw Jacksonville.
See, I can see that too. Is Tennessee the team that everyone just wants to play?
One would think Tennessee, yeah, Buffalo. The Chargers are hard to gauge because, I mean, they have both good games. I mean, what's the extent of Keenan Allen's injury, for example?
I don't know.
We saw him being carted off. So, if he's gone, then the Chargers are even if they get to the playoffs, the Chargers are like the Raiders last year. They're just a pushover.
I mean, I think the Chargers could survive without Keenan. Obviously, they're a lot worse if Keenan Allen can't go. But I don't think they would just be dead on arrival just because they didn't have Keenan Allen.
I get what you're saying, but I think that would be a very tough spot to draw. I mean, the Chargers could very well play the Patriots in the first round too. We saw that game. The Chargers had opportunities.
They did. I mean, the Chargers could have won that game.
They could have, but I think they played. I'm really looking forward to this year's playoffs and years I haven't in the past because I don't think there's any prohibitive favorite. I know the Patriots are the betting favorite, but that's dumb because they're might be the best, but they're not the best by a lot. I think there's 7-8 teams where they all have a relatively equitable chance to win, and it should be a lot of fun because of it.
Well, in the NFC, who would you say is the favorite in the NFC right now? I kind of think, and you were right about this at the beginning of the year, the one team that you picked to do well, that is actually doing well, the Vikings.
Well, I picked the Rams to do pretty well, too.
You picked the Rams to be over their number of 5.5, not be one of the best teams in football.
No. If you're asking me who I would be most afraid of playing, it would be
right now, if you put the Vikings up against the Eagles, who do you think would win? I think the Vikings would win.
Where's the game?
Does it matter?
Yeah, I think it makes a big difference.
Let's say it's in Philly.
I would lean towards Philadelphia in that spot.
So you think that whoever has home field advantage there wins?
If that were the game, yes. But to me, the dark horse is the Saints, and that's who I'd watch out for.
I mean, they're not really the dark horse. They're 10-4 and just barely beat the Jets.
Yeah, but I think it's likelier than not they will end up having to be the 4 seed.
Really?
Yeah, because of course they don't win the tiebreak against the Rams, and the Rams are 12-4, which they're likely to win their last 2. The Rams would be the 3 seed.
Well, who do the Rams have left?
The Rams have the Titans, over whom they are favored,
and the Niners,
and then they have the 49ers, over whom they'll be favored. So,
what's the Eagles' remaining schedule? They
Philadelphia,
have Oakland, and who? Washington.
Oakland, and they host Dallas.
They could lose that Dallas game, I suppose.
They may have nothing to play for in that Dallas game.
They might be playing for the bye, though.
They already have a bye locked up,
sorry,
and I believe a win next week should lock them up first place.
Well, the only team that could technically catch them still would be the Vikings. Do they have the tiebreak over the Vikings?
They do. I'm looking at the system right now. If they're both 13-3, Philadelphia would get first place.
Oh, based on what?
I suppose it has to be NFC common opponent record, or just NFC record.
Oh, do you see Teddy got in the game yesterday?
Yeah, that was nice to see. I mean, unfortunately, he didn't do much.
He threw a pick. He threw a pick right. Hey, he's setting up to be the Jets QB next year, so he's already getting that in the system.
He's not going to be the Jets QB.
Well, who is?
I said it yesterday. There's a list of QBs I want. I want Cousins, or I want Smith, or I want Baker Mayfield. I want one of those 3.
No, you're going to end up with Sam Bradford.
Well, if he were a transitional quarterback to a rookie that they drafted in the first round, I'd be okay with that. But that's not what I'm hoping for.
What if they give Case Keenum 7 years, $200 million?
I think I would have a heart attack.
They might do something crazy like that.
That would not to Case Keenum.
Someone is paying. It might be the Vikings who end up paying him, but someone is paying Case Keenum this offseason.
He deserves it. He's played really good football.
I agree.
I mean, let's say his team won the Super Bowl. At that point, Minnesota would be basically obligated to pay him whatever price he asked for.
Maybe,
in reason.
Well, let's say he wins the Super Bowl this year, then he goes into free agency. Is he a $100 million quarterback? Because that's probably what someone would give him.
I don't think the Vikings could let him walk at that point. You have to franchise him then.
I mean, I feel like someone would line up to give him $100 million, and I think you'd have to let him walk.
I think it would be tough if the Vikings won their first ever Super Bowl and he was the quarterback and you let him walk. Oh, man. I think that would take brass balls to be able to do that.
Do you think Jacksonville would give him the cash? Or do you think they're sticking it with Bortles?
They can let Bortles go after this year and his money doesn't cost him a cent against the cap.
True.
Or $19 million. I don't see how Bortles comes back unless he agrees to a restructured contract.
Yeah, but don't they just want to move on from him anyway?
Well, I mean, but Jacksonville is going to be in the playoffs, hosting a playoff game, and maybe even having a bye. Like, that would be tough, too.
Yeah, but I think everyone kind of agrees that Bortles was not the reason for this.
How do you think Tom Coughlin thinks? Coughlin is not afraid to just credit quarterbacks for wins.
I suppose that's true. But maybe let's go get Eli. Like, is Eli back with the Giants next year?
I can't imagine he is. I mean, I guess it depends who they bring in. I think that he has to be let go. You know, you shake him by the hand warmly. I mean, if Peyton Manning can leave, then anybody can leave.
I guess that's true. I don't know. Did you enjoy the games yesterday? I know we're not talking a ton about fantasy football. Like I said,
well, I just want to talk about your all-Jaguar stack. How did you know to play all those various guys?
Oh, I completely spaced on the guy's name now. What was it? Not Wickens.
Mickens.
Nickens?
Mickens with an M.
Mickens, yes. I played so much D.D. Westbrook, and everyone on the team did something besides D.D. Westbrook. Marquise Lee getting hurt. Oh, yeah, he's someone who got hurt yesterday. He has the ankle injury. I feel like if he had just stayed in the game, Westbrook would have been good. But instead, he got shifted as like the number one guy. Then the 2s and 3s did all the damage against Houston. Houston sucks, by the way.
Can you imagine if you had a DFS stack of Keelan Cole, Jaden Mickens, and Blake Bortles?
Well, a lot of people played Bortles yesterday, and more people played Westbrook. People were playing Keelan Cole, though.
Really?
Yeah. Keelan Cole's pretty good.
I guess. Fair enough. I mean, he hadn't had more than 3 catches in, like, forever, but...
Yeah, but he's their deep downfield guy. So
Fair
if he hits, he connects, and he goes for it. I'm not saying, like, he was, like, 1% owned, but he was still owned.
All right. No, fair enough.
Just like that bird swinger guy on Carolina. He was owned. I had him in a lineup thanks to Pierce. Pierce was just talking him up all week.
Bird swinger.
And then, like, on back-to-back plays, Funches got hurt, then Russell Shepard got hurt. It's like, oh, Bird's the only guy left.
I'm such a fool for taking Green Bay in that game.
I know. What were you doing?
I even said on the show, the Panthers are the sharp side. I should be on the Panthers, blah, blah, blah. I was intoxicated by the idea of Aaron Rodgers coming back, and I allowed the story to overtake my senses.
Now, do you think they lost because Rodgers wasn't 100% healthy, or Carolina was just good in that game? Because they were pretty good.
It can be both. I mean, Rodgers threw 3 interceptions. That hurts.
That did
but
hurt.
Carolina looked really good. I mean, Carolina's doing a very good job protecting Newton from making too many mistakes. And if he can get out and run, like that team can do something. Olsen came back. Olsen looked great. The Panthers are a dangerous NFC playoff team too. I think they're going to have their difficulties, but they're a darn good team. And listen, if they were to beat the Falcons, and they have opportunities, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, just even looking at all the NFC teams, it just doesn't feel like there's any one team that's way better. Like, it seems in the AFC, Pittsburgh and New England are probably the 2 best teams, and by a bit over because if Jacksonville gets down 10-0, they're still kind of done, no matter who they're playing in the playoffs. They really need to...
I still think to throw the hand up there about the Chiefs. I think they're a dangerous team.
That's fine. Now that you're back in on the Chiefs, they're going to be garbage.
When we make our playoff picks, I'm leaning heavily towards perhaps a Kansas City pick.
Yep, you should do that. All the Chiefs fans will be very happy with you, and it will just allow the Patriots to walk to the Super Bowl again. The last thing that you want, just pick the Patriots.
But I don't. But I've seen the Chiefs already disassemble the Patriots, and the Chiefs have already gone from a high, then go through their swoon, and now they're on the upswing again.
Okay, you really think that the Chiefs are going to go into Foxborough and beat the Patriots in the playoffs?
Well, I saw him do it already once this season.
You saw it happen in Week 1, Tim. Again, we keep talking about this. Week 1 and Week 2 don't share a whole lot of similarities to what teams are doing right now.
Yeah, I've watched Tom Brady play pretty badly for the last couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
He looked really old against the Dolphins. He did not look very good yesterday against the Steelers, all told.
I thought he looked all right yesterday.
He threw some. Yeah, he looked. I mean, listen, he's still one of the best, if not the best, quarterback in the league. But he threw some passes he didn't used to throw. He threw that panic interception, for example. I mean, the Steelers dropped another pick that would have sealed the game. Brady was fine, 298 and a touchdown, but he threw an interception. He's looking a bit his age, which is why I took some delight yesterday by saying the Patriots fans should be happy about the win, but they sold their future for nothing, and they will regret it in 2 years' time when Jimmy G is an NFL MVP and they traded it all away for a bag of donuts.
Oh, maybe they'll draft the quarterback of the future with that second-round pick.
Maybe they will. I mean, knowing the Patriots, they probably will. But at the moment, I think they look like they got fleeced.
Oh, you know who the Jets starting quarterback is going to be next year? $100 million man? Brock Osweiler.
No, I think the Jets will not be the third team to be paying him a salary in 1 year.
I don't know. He made one throw on Thursday night that was really nice.
Oh, his run was really nice.
Yeah, but that throw he made to Huerman was really nice, too.
That was a sharp throw. I mean, I didn't see a lot of that game because I went to Star Wars, but I did see the second half of it, and because I needed to see the Broncos win. And yeah, Brock looked competent, but it was against the Colts, so what are you gonna do?
Yeah, I suppose that's true. Any other football related things?
Let's see. I remain convinced that if the Cowboys could get into the playoffs, they could do some real damage.
Why?
But,
like, I watch the Cowboys every week, and they just don't seem like they're any good. I
Well,
can't believe they keep winning games.
Because they're better than you think, and they're about to get their best player back, who's going to be angry. They've held the fort for Zeke, and I just think that if they were to get in, they'd be sort of underestimated, and they could be a very dangerous team because they run the ball so effectively, and that's so huge in the playoffs.
Well, they would get what, the Saints in the first round or the Rams in the first round? Like, I don't think they're beating any one of those teams.
The Rams, and I don't know. I mean, I just think that I wouldn't discount the Cowboys if they got in, but too many things have to go their way to get in, I think.
All right, well, that'll do it on the Pat Mayo Experience. You can catch me, Tim, and Feinberg back on Thursday breaking down all the games. The rankings debate with Seeley and the Draftkings show will be at normal times. And then next week, we'll be doing some golf shows, previewing the majors, players we're looking at, and we'll be back with Week 17 picks as well. I would like to thank Tim Anderson.
Tim Anderson.
That is not my name.
For being on the line. One-word review, Star Wars. Did you like it or no?
No.
All right. Really? Because I thought you said you gave it a 9 out of 10.
I revised it down to a 7, and it's moving even more towards a 6 at the moment, the more I think about it.
All right, well, I still haven't seen it, so I will not cast judgment on it yet. I'll probably see it sometime over the holidays. Anyway, you can follow me on Twitter at @ThePME. Follow Tim at Tim Anderson 87. Subscribe to the Pat Mayo Experience on iTunes, Stitcher, Podomatic, and Audio Boom for the podcast versions, for the video versions, up on the Draftkings YouTube page. For all my rankings for this week, they'll be all the way updated on DKPlaybook.com. All right? Good luck in your fantasy finals if you're there. If not, thanks for tuning in anyway. Pat Mayo. I'll see you next time.